turn your attention to the stage where we invite Tami Kagan-Abrams, incoming board chair of Jewish Family Service of Los Angeles, to present this year's Barbara Yaroslavsky Award.
Great. So Dena Schecter was going to present this award to Nancy, but she couldn't be here today. So I'm first going to read some words from Dena, and then a special other message, and then I'm just going to add in just a few of my own words. So, Nancy Volpert is the poster child of the effective social service public policy profession, advocating social justice. She battles to overcome inequities in life, and in so doing embodies the Jewish ideals of improving the world. Nancy comes from a distinguished family. Such advocates and her parents, Marcia and Richard, have clearly been spectacular role models. I, Dena, consider her mother to be one of my own role models. Marcia and I share, among other commonalities, each having been president of Jewish Family Service of Los Angeles. It was at JFS that I got to know and admire the tenacious and indefatigable Nancy. Nancy is her own person, and she has never traded on her distinguished name. Rather, she has created and filled important roles in her career and forged connections with her own style, energy, and wit. Nancy held several leadership positions at Jewish Family Service of Los Angeles, most recently as Senior Director, Public Policy and Community Engagement. At JFS, she advocated on behalf of JFS clients and programs at the local, state, and federal level. Working in close partnership with JFS program colleagues, legislative leadership, and coalition partners across California, Nancy ensured that complex needs of high-risk populations were considered when designing programs and policies to address long-term systemic inequities. Through her efforts, JFS developed deep relationships with local elected officials and secured more than $40 million in new funds for programs serving Holocaust survivors, those affected by domestic violence and frail seniors, among others. Nancy led the effort to create a board-adopted strategic plan for advancing equity and agency-wide policy statement on diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. Originally hired to create the Public Policy and Advocacy Department at JFS, she also led JFS media relations for several years. She recently oversaw construction of the $36 million multi-use JFS headquarters campus and led the development and implementation of the agency's strategic plan. I know she takes pride in and counts on JPAC's continuing commitment to a critical social service agenda. She recently joined the Homebridge to create and build connections with external stakeholders, influence policy decisions at all levels of government, and enhance Homebridge's public image. They are lucky to have captured this uniquely talented and accomplished woman. And now, I have a message from the Yaroslavsky family that encapsulates why Nancy is receiving this very distinguished and well-deserved award. We regret that we were not able to join you this year for JPAC's annual Sacramento meeting. We congratulate Nancy Volpert on receiving the Barbara Yaroslavsky Award. Nancy possesses many of Barbara's traits, not least of which is a commitment to Tikkun Olam through community service. Nancy comes from a family that epitomized this commitment. She worked with Barbara on many occasions, and it is wholly appropriate that this relationship continues even in Barbara's exodus. We live in very troubled times for our world and for our Jewish community. None of us could have imagined that we would be facing blatant anti-Semitic violence, vandalism, and vitriol, the kind that our recent ancestors experienced. It was in times like these that Barbara's hopefulness and resilience were of their greatest value. On our kitchen windowsill, Barbara had a plate which read, "A pessimist has no motor, an optimist has no brakes." That was Barbara, the eternal optimist. That is the JPAC she read and loved for many years. She would thrive in a time like this, advocating that we all lean in, roll up our sleeves, and swing for the fences. She had no brakes, neither does Nancy, and neither should we. This is no time for pessimism. Our family is honored that JPAC has memorialized Barbara with this award and has chosen such a deserving recipient. from Zach Yaroslavsky, Nina Bressler, and David Doris. And I just want to quickly add, these are words for people who mentored Nancy, Dena really grew the public policy function at JFS with her. I am someone who was lucky enough to be mentored by Nancy. When I got more involved and joined that function as on the public policy committee in 2017, Nancy really took me under her wing. And by that, I'd say she really swooped in like an eagle because she really saw something I didn't even see in myself, which was a real passion for this work. And she taught me so much. She has been an incredible mentor. And she taught me the importance of it. That it was local, even when I would just be outraged. That all politics are, of course, local. But she really also taught me that we could enjoy ourselves doing it, which made it something that I just wanted to be involved in more in. So I am so personally appreciative and think the world of her, which is why I am super excited to present her with the Barbara Yaroslavsky Award.
Thank you, Tami. And thank you for stepping into Dena's always fabulous shoes. Huge thanks to the Yaroslavsky family, and really thank you, David, Alina, Cliff, the JPAC board members. This is a pretty remarkable honor for me. Having spent more than 15 years as a member of the JPAC board, I know how important today is, and I know how important it is for each of you here, so thank you. Like Dena and Tami, Barbara Yaroslavsky was one of the most incredible women I had the privilege to know. She was a mentor, a role model, a friend, and sometimes a critic. And what most of you probably don't know is I actually met Barbara at jury duty. We were in the jury waiting room down at the LA County Courthouse back when you had to go in person and sit in that room. And I walked up and introduced myself, and she invited me to lunch. We went to lunch at Olvera Street, and that was the start of a decades-long friendship. She was fierce, long before Beyonce was. Barbara, along with Dena, Abby, Nancy, I saw you here earlier, Volpert, you are amazing. So many of these women, Janice, forged a path when people like Tami and I, and many of you here, have been able to follow her. For Barbara, being civically minded and being civically involved wasn't about being heroic, but about understanding how important it is for us to be present, to participate, and to be part of something in a larger community. She reminded us through her words and her actions that you need to be part of the broader world. Barbara's message, as much as already heard from Dena and Zev, really echoed a message I heard at home. My parents were deeply involved in the Jewish community. My mom was chair of JCRC in LA when JPAC was founded. Some of you know my dad was past president of the AJ committee. But they were equally proud of their work in the civic role. My mom sat on a number of powerful LA City missions, and my dad's proudest accomplishment was his work at the Natural History Museum. They all, like Barbara, emulated a both-and approach to community. And it's a model that I have tried to emulate. When Paul Castro hired me at JFS, our goals were actually pretty modest. create a place at the community table where the voices of our elders, our domestic violence survivors, people living in poverty, people who were otherwise marginalized, would have a voice and have a place to say. We would not rely solely on the advocacy of others to protect our clients and to advocate for our funding. But we would work in partnership with an incredible board of directors, the most amazing staff colleagues you've ever met, and allies to speak for those who were often voiceless. And we did it. We did it here at JPAC, and we did it in a decent way. And these efforts have changed my life forever. And hopefully they've changed the two other lives as well. As we work to find our voice, we also committed to helping others find their voices. Whether it's census outreach, voter engagement, rallies or hearings, participation matters. I frequently asked, what's the most important thing you could do as an advocate? What's the one thing you can do if you were jailed? I always answer the same thing, and at least half of you in this room have heard me say it before. Vote. And get everybody you know who is eligible to vote. It's the single most important thing we need to do is change our world. At this really painful moment in our history, when it feels like all of the ancient fears and phobias have resurfaced and are on the rise, it seems more important to me than ever to be civic engagement, to forge friendships where fear might otherwise. I've always been inspired and tried to live by the Rabbi Charzan quote, many of you probably know. You're not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Today, the less often first count of that, I think, is actually more important than ever. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Live love mercy now. Walk humbly now. Today, I promise all of you to walk humbly in Barb's footsteps and to work with all of you to do justly now, so that we can live in a world free from poverty, hunger, and hate. Thank you.